Good afternoon. Thank you, administrators, for your time this afternoon to discuss the implementation of a dual language program here at McReynolds Middle School. I have designed a program structure that utilizes our current staff and resources in order to create an additive bilingual program to replace the existing subtractive ESL program in place. With collaboration between our schools and modification to the current schedule, McReynolds Middle School can promote a bilingual culture throughout the student's academic career. That structure begins with language level assessment, determining if they are beginner, intermediate, and advanced, as we already do. Curriculum will be taught at grade level, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, regardless of their language ability. The language level will only determine the language of instruction. For instance, if they are found to have very low English skill, they will be considered a beginner first year. This will be based on a 90-10 model, where 90% of time will be spent in their native language of Spanish, and 10% will be spent learning English. They will have an additional ELA class, so ELA will be broken up from reading and language arts. As a result, they will not have an elective, so the resources that are normally spent on these students in their elective periods will be reallocated to this additional resources necessary for Spanish textbooks, materials, assessments, etc. This also will build language equity and culture of equity in the Spanish language for our Spanish-speaking students and incoming ELLs. They will be submerged in their own language 90% of the time and have a culture of bilingualism built early on, from the beginning and the onset. Math will be taught in English to fulfill the 10%, and also so that way they're getting exposed to English, but the majority of communication and language skills are in their native language to create the bridge for those mathematical computations that require word problems, etc. Student assessment, however, will follow the language of instruction per content area, so the majority of their tests will also have to be in Spanish. Excuse me. Beginner, second year, they will have their elective period also taught in English, as English is the dominant language and there's less of an academic content of vocabulary in elective periods, band, art, gym, etc. That will be added in as an additional 10%, still keeping 80% of language learning skills in their native tongue and getting them a little more exposed to the English language. As we move into the intermediate year, we will have a 70-30 model. We have two bilingual teachers on staff right now, and all we would have to do is break them up A day or B day. So in the intermediate year, you have the difference of ELA being taught in both English and Spanish divided by days, A day and B day. As we already have it, we would just have to put the bilingual teacher in place to switch them. So essentially, teacher number one would be spending the majority of her time with beginners, while teacher number two would be working mostly with intermediates and advanced in a more English dominant curriculum. And this moves up into fourth year, where it's more of a 60-40 model, and science is now also split A day, B day. Even in this model, student assessment will continue to follow the language of instruction per content area. As we move into, eventually, the advanced fifth year, and also those students that are coming from elementary schools that have already experienced a dual language program and are placed into advanced, we can continue to service them into their 6th and 7th year of a dual language program. The days will be split, and the English is 50-50 throughout the day. This will move us to our goal of additive bilingualism. Also, as a note, community demographics show that incoming middle school students are often beginning ELLs. This structure allows them to reap the benefits of a bilingual education. Through the collaboration of the feeder school program, McReynolds can maintain the bilingual education of students currently enrolled in the elementary dual language programs into 6th and 7th grade. They're currently lacking that. They come from elementary schools and are placed in a subtractive ESL program, and bilingualism is lost. With the implementation of this dual language program, we can promote bilingualism in this community throughout the student's academic career and into high school. Students will be assessed on their language acquisition through TELPAS, Iowa, and the IPT scores annually. Those scores will determine language proficiency and placement of language year. So a student will not move into beginner, intermediate, or advanced until they show proficiency on these tests. It will not be based solely on 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade, or the number of years in the program, but their aptitude in the test, counseling, and any adjustments that have to be made through assessment will be made through annual assessments of their language acquisition. Structure of the program moves in 10% increments from a 90-10 model to a 50-50 model in advanced placement. The only change from the 90-10 to the 80-20 model being the ELA class for the beginners to promote equity for the dominant English language. Research shows that building an equity of language and culture, it also shows that starting at a 90-10 model and moving to a 50-50 over a gradual year-to-year progression, this is a 5-year model, that by the time they reach advanced, they will not only have acquired both languages, but their cognitive ability will also increase across all content areas in both languages. Language of assessment. Beginners and intermediates will follow language of instruction for grade level benchmarks, TELPAS, Iowa, ITBs. STAR, they will be exempt. They can take the STAR, but it will not count against them. However, in the advanced, the STAR will count, as well as TELPAS and Iowa to check language acquisition as well as cognitive ability across content areas. We'll be able to use that as research to see how they are doing in comparison to other students at their grade level in English, as well as other schools who have dual language programs, such as Pugue Elementary, which is part of our feeder program, and hopefully heading into Wheatley, which could also adopt a dual language program that we could feed into, increasing dual language throughout the entire academic career of our students. This dual language enrichment model is additive with the goal of bilingualism, having our students being able to speak in both English and Spanish, coming in speaking majority of Spanish, and coming out being bilingual, not losing their language, but increasing overall language acquisition and cognitive ability across all content areas. Thank you for your time.